Welcome to Out of the Box with Christine. Are you willing to step into your greatness? Are you ready to shine? Well, get ready, Truth Seeker. You're in for an amazing ride. And now, here's the host of the show, Christine Blosdale.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Out of the Box with Christine. I am your host, Christine Blosdale, your expert authority coach, helping you get the word out on your business and your brand through podcasting, video marketing, you name it. I am the guru of getting the word out. That's not official. That's not a trademark phrase. It's just how I feel. You know what? Buckle up, Buttercup, because today's show is going to be exciting, exhilarating, inspirational, motivational, funny. What else? Maybe some drama thrown in, right? A little true crime. Who knows? No, just stay tuned, because the show today is going to be amazing. And especially for those of you who, you know, you're a coach, you're a consultant, you're a solopreneur, and you want to get the word out on your business. If you've been listening to me for any amount of time, you know I tell you to create a podcast and a YouTube channel. So you have the video version of that podcast. I tell you to do that because it is one of the best ways to market what it is that you do, to tell the world how amazing you are, and to drive that point home today in conversation is, you know what? I'm so happy she came into my life. Bri Campano.
Yeah, there you go. You
Bri
got
Campano. It sounds like,
exactly.
sounds like a pasta. I'm going to have some Campano, Campari, yes, calamari.
Let's do it.
Bri is also known as the Clever Biotch. And let me tell you, someone I'm wearing right now, for those of you who are watching the video, you can see, and for those listening, you can't, but just go on YouTube. I'm wearing my little Boss AF beanie because it's winter here in Australia. And when I saw your tag name, your fun name, the Clever Biotch, I was like, girl, we are sisters from another mister. We are sisters.
We are.
Oh my gosh. So welcome to Out of the Box with Christine, darling.
Hey, thanks so much. I am so happy to be here. I am so glad that we did connect and became fast friends already, because that's just the way it works when you are a boss AF, you know, and that's the way we roll. It's so much fun to be here. And I'm sorry that it's winter there. It'll be winter here soon, because I'm up north in the United States, way up by the Canadian border a bit. Ooh. And so it's winter here 10 months of the year. So you're relishing in the warmth of the moment. Yes, indeed.
Well, my heart is all warm because again, coming into contact with you, I knew that I just knew that we were kindred spirits, and I knew also I wanted to get you on the show right away because I think we both think along the same lines, but when someone else says it, it's even more powerful. But you have your own podcast as well, don't you?
I do. I have Clever Conversations. It's in its 4th season, I think now. So it's been around a little bit. I've had some fun with it, and I am just loving, you know, my thing is that I love to network with people and I love to meet people. And if that's part of your business, you really should have a podcast, because it is such a great way to really get to know somebody. You know, you go to a networking and you meet somebody and you're like, I don't even know what you do or if it relates to what I do, but I want to know more and I want to know you because you're cool. And a podcast is a great excuse to do that and make great connections and dive deeper with somebody to really get to know who they are and what they're about. So did you find that when what you were doing? I mean, that's Absolutely. One of my favorite things. Yeah.
Well, I have 20 something years in radio, in broadcasting, and I loved, and I had long format. I got to actually have long conversations, and we're supposed to do a break. It wasn't really a commercial break that we were supposed to do, but we were supposed to do a break, a station ID. And I'll tell you, if I had a really interesting guest on, And I have over the years, I've had some amazing people, so gifted and beautiful. I would just keep talking to them and get into it, not just do these little sound bites, but actually find out, like, where did they come from? How did they get to where they are today? And I think that story binds us. As human beings, we can relate to someone maybe going through some rough times or starting off in not such a great situation, but then making the best of it. And so I do love the whole format of podcasting. It was a natural progression for me, because also I wanted to make these conversations available to more people, and not just people living in Southern California and Los Angeles in the metro area, so to speak. I wanted it to get out. And so, as wonderful Bri, the Clever Biotch, was saying, it's a great tool to get to know somebody, but also to share that person with your audience. And I think that's extremely important. And you can get into deep conversations, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You can get into some great conversations and you find a little bit more out about the person, more than just the business. And I think that's what people, the audience, that's what people are looking for in business right now, is because there's, you'll see there's so many people that do the same kind of thing. So what is the thing? What is that differentiator that you have? What is the thing that people are drawn to? And that is you. It is you and who you are and your persona. And when you have those kinds of conversation, when you share stories about yourself and you share the stories that you bring on with your guests, it's a way for your audience or your clients or whatever it might be to really connect with you. Yes. And know who you are. And that's the difference. And so that's what podcasting has done for me, is that it's been able to let people into my world. And I say, sometimes if you get to that point where you can almost read the phone book and they just want to hang out with you, like that's like that thing. I mean, obviously you're not going to do that because it's not really great. It's not great content,
but it's gold.
Come on,
right.
It's not. But I'm just saying is that you share that part of that authentic self of who you are with people, because you can't really fake that, right? Like
No.
If you see me on a podcast, I'm the same person in real life. Like that's just who I am. I can't fake it. I don't know how to be anybody but myself, right? So, and if I tried, I would probably fail at it. So this is who I am, and people are drawn to it. Either they love me or they hate me. I'm cool either way. You get to choose. But the ones that do love me are drawn in. And that's what I want them to get that from me. I want them to understand who Bri is, who am I, and what am I about? And that podcast is like the perfect platform for doing that.
Oh,
so it's been huge.
Absolutely. And, I coach a lot of clients on branding, and I just recently did a masterclass on how to develop your personal brand. And I was driving home the point. It's not about your logo. It's not about that, even, although I do hold a great deal of value in a really good headshot or a promo shot. You got to look professional. It can't be some old selfie from 2000. But your personal brand is you. Are there other coaches out there? Are there other podcast coaches and radio folk? Yeah, but there's nobody that has the same experience as I have, right? And gone through all the trials and tribulations and all the experiences. And the same thing with you, Bri, is that there is no one. You have a unique fingerprint. And what I try and get to across to my clients is that if you have a business, especially if you're a coach, consultant, a service provider, you need to, it's not about standing out in the crowd. You need to connect with your audience or your potential customers or clients and show them who you are. And also make yourself be trustworthy, because, if you're asking people to give you some money in exchange for your time, you need to be trustworthy. And that's why, of course, I love podcasting and vodcasting, which is, the video version of that, because video is a way for you to connect with people from all around the world, and they get to look into your eyes, and they don't, if they see you being shifty eyed or, but they get to actually see the human being and those pauses and just your personality. So I think it's one of the best tools. And you having your own podcast, maybe we can let our wonderful listeners and viewers know about some tips and tricks that we can give to them about how to market their business through a podcast and a YouTube channel, right?
Absolutely. I think that, you have to spend the time on your podcast serving your audience. I was told recently that like the title and description on your podcast is a promise you make to your audience. And so we can talk about clickbaity things. We can talk about how we build those things, but really what you're doing with your podcast and what you're talking about on your podcast is you're serving your audience. You're serving the people, you're adding value, you're taking them on a journey as they spend their 10 minutes with you, 30 minutes with you, 5 minutes, whatever it might be. You're taking them on a journey and you're hoping that when they finish that podcast, that episode, that they're better for it. And so when you're doing those kinds of things to serve your audience, you are serving the people that you want to work with, that will want to work with you because they see the value that you bring. You're giving them all this information, you're lifting their day, you're offering advice, you're sharing parts of yourself, and those things create a beautiful relationship with the people that you want to serve. And so I think that's the secret of podcasting, is always taking them on that journey and giving them something so that they're the better for having spent their time with you, because that's the most valuable thing we have. So whatever time that they want to spend with you, if you're doing the right things and if you're always keeping what their needs are in mind, then, which is what you do for your business, right? That's what we're doing with our business, is we're trying to serve our people. So a podcast is an extension of that, but it's a deeper connection that they can make with you.
I love that. And you're respecting their time. I think that's really important. And another, a great tip that and this is just from years and years of doing this stuff, doing the radio programming that I did for 20 something years, and then doing podcasting for about 7, is because sometimes we can live in a bubble, or when we're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, we just think we're kind of isolated, right? We're in our office, we're in our basement, wherever you're at. And when we create a podcast to help, connect with our audience, or to make another service, when we create that podcast, sometimes we think we're throwing pasta on the wall, right? I'm going to create a podcast, I'm going to create an episode, and I'm going to throw it up there, and whoever listens to it, and I don't know who they are. And that can be a very lonely experience. And also sometimes you don't put your best foot forward when you do that. And so what I try and do with my my coaching clients when I'm showing them how to create a podcast is I say this. I said, think in your mind, who is someone or people, it doesn't have to be one person, could be several people, that you really admire. That you really admire in life. Maybe they're someone that you love their books, you love their performances. It can be a singer, it could be an actor, it can be a politician, I don't care. But someone that you really, truly admire, and imagine them listening to you, or in the case of your video on YouTube, watching you. Now, will you know if that person is actually listening to you or watching you? You don't. But if you go into your episode thinking that they are going to hear you or catch you somehow, all of a sudden we kind of, it's kind of like when you're playing sports and that that your crush is watching you, or maybe your grandparents made that special trip to come see your softball game, right? All of a sudden you're looking really sharp, you're adjusting your cap a little bit, right? Because they might take a photo. When you do that, it levels you up a bit, and you never know. And I'll do a quick story on that. Many years ago, I wrote for America Online. I worked for them for about 1.5 years or 2 years, something like that. It was so long ago. And I wrote through a cartoon character, not Christine. I wrote through a cartoon character called Beatbox Betty. And to this day, people who used to follow on the entertainment channel in AOL, they'll go, "Oh my God, you're Beatbox Betty? Get out of here." What? And so I wrote this daily column, and it was an entertainment column. It was very cheesy, very Hedda Hopper, gossipy kind of thing, but not horribly mean or anything like that. And really true movie reviews, right? Okay, so I was honest. So one time I was at a restaurant in Los Angeles, and I was having some food with a friend of mine, and the table, like just like maybe a table or two over, was Lily Tomlin and her partner at the time. They're married now, but their partner at the time, Jane Wagner. And for those of you who don't know, Lily Tomlin, everybody knows, pretty much everybody on the planet knows Lily, but Jane is really, she's the machine behind Lily. She's a great writer. She is very, nobody really makes a big fuss about Jane, but I know who she is. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, Lily Tomlin and Jane Wagner are over there. And my friend's like, go over there and introduce yourself. Say hi. I was like, no, I'm not going to be that person who goes up to a celebrity and, asks for an autograph or, bugs them. They're having dinner. I don't want to do it. So I'm sitting there, and that pull is still kind of, oh gosh, I would really love to say hello, but and my friend goes, go on. So I got the courage up. I said, okay, I'll be really quick. I'm just going to go over there, say hi, and say how amazing they are. So I gather up my courage. I walk over there, and they're looking down at their food, and I come over and I go, hi, Lily, Jane. Hi. I just wanted to say, I love you both, and I think you're amazing. And I don't want to interrupt you, but I just wanted to come over and say how great you are, whatever. And they look up at me, and it was Jane, I think, who said, oh, how nice of you. Thank you. And what's your name? And instead of saying Christine, for some reason, I said, my name's Christine, but I'm also known as Beatbox Betty. And they both put their forks down and went, what? And I'm like, what? And Jane goes to Lily, she goes, oh my God, Lily, that's Beatbox Betty. We love you. We love you. You're so funny. That's what Lily said to me. She goes, and you're so funny. And I was like, am I being punked? Like, is there a camera around here? Right? I couldn't believe it. And so the moral of the story is you never know who's reading your blog or following you on social media or listening to your podcast or watching your videos. It could very well be someone that you really admire. So if you put that in your head, every time you put something out and you create content, you're gonna knock it out of the park. Will Lily Tomlin be listening to you or watching you, or whoever your absolute idol is? Maybe not, but that doesn't matter, right? I just thought I'd throw that story in. That's
a great story.
Oh,
it's so cool, because you don't ever know. And you might, and it's more than just like, it could be a famous person, or it could be somebody that's, that you've dreamt of meeting or wanting to like hang out with. But it's also those people whose lives that you might touch and might change and might make those impactful things. You can make such a difference, and you may never know it. But if you're putting that message out there, it could change a life, right? It could
absolutely.
make that, could be that one thing. I'm a big fan of Marie Forleo, and she has one of her biggest things is everything is figure outable. And I took that saying years ago, and I've said it for years with my kids. And I'm always like, everything's figure outable, right? We'll figure it out. We'll find a way to make it happen. We'll find a way to get through it. We'll find a way to make things better or okay, whatever it might have been that they were going through. And it wasn't until about a couple years ago, my oldest son came home for Christmas. And he was like, Mom, I have to tell you something. And I said, what is that? And he
That's
said,
never great.
I know, right? I know. And I don't
What?
see him that much, so it's tough. And he said, I was going through a really, really rough time. I was really down and out. I was very depressed. Wasn't reaching out to anybody very much. And I started to have some thoughts that weren't healthy for me.
Aww.
And what came to my mind was what you had said for many years. And it's everything is figure outable. Now, I told that story to Marie Forleo and she was so touched by it, but you never know what he didn't even hear her say it. He heard me repeat it from what I had heard from her, but you never know how you can change a life or make a difference. And I was also very proud that he listened to his mom and kept that knowledge, but mom points, but still, and it's something that and I actually have it tattooed on my leg now. It's all the way down the side of my leg. So everything is figure outable. Right?
I love that. Now that's going to be emblazoned upon my brain as well.
There you go.
I love that.
That's what you need.
And the beautiful thing about having this platform of a podcast, of a YouTube channel, is not only do you not know whose lives you're going to impact, but the creativity that it can unleash is like crazy. And I know that we wanted to give some tips and some advice for people who maybe are just starting off with their podcast, or maybe they have a podcast and they need to revamp it a little bit. But let's talk about that creativity. What kind of stuff have you been doing that has really helped spur that creativity when it comes to your podcast and vodcast? Because I know your show is also available on YouTube as well.
It is. And I love that I'm on YouTube. I think the video, there's something about and I do a lot of stuff live as well, because I like that anything can happen and it's not scripted and we don't know we're going to say next.
Yeah.
And it just heightens everything and you're just really spot on and you pay attention more. I love that I love that energy. I'm all about energy. So I really love how that brings a lot more energy to it. But I think there's something magical about being able to speak those things that are in your head out loud, those things that you're thinking about, those moments that you have, and sharing those with an audience. And so don't be afraid to do that. I can't stress enough to people, get used to it. If it's something that's really hard for you, or you're like, I don't know if I can talk into a mic and I'm going to look silly and stuff. I'm like, first of all, sillier you look sometimes the better. The most popular things I've done have been when I have screwed things up. So that's always good. Good to know. The screw ups make great TV, as they say. And practice, get used to talking. I did in the past year, I did probably 300 live episodes. 300. They're not all mine, but I was a co-host on another show, and we did a live show every day, Monday through Friday.
Jeez.
So I did that for a year, almost a year. Not quite a year, but almost a year. And so I just got really good at it and I stopped looking at myself. Sometimes it's hard if you're doing something by yourself, if you're a podcaster and you want to do video and it scares the bejeebers out of you. One of my old coaches, Tiffany Kane, said, put a big piece of paper over your screen so you can't see yourself.
Ooh, wow.
Stop looking so you don't have to look at yourself, because you'll start picking yourself apart and it shakes up that confidence that you have. So that's okay. Check your hair, fix the hat, do your thing, make sure it's all set right, and then put something in front of it. And then just look at the camera and talk to it like it's your friend, and keep practicing doing that. That's been one of the biggest things. That was just, and it's easy because, and then after a while, you don't need the paper anymore. And you're just used to looking at the right place so that you're looking at the camera. And put that camera up a little higher. That's the other. I see a lot of people that put it they'll put it lower, and it's just not as flattering. I know that's something that's kind of a vain thing, but put it up a little higher so you're looking up into it. Because how many people take selfies like this? Right? We take selfies like this.
That's right.
Put this up. Right? Do you know why we do this? Because we look better.
We look better. So let me tell you, if my arms could get longer, that would be awesome. Because it's crazy.
All right.
That is something when it comes to the video version of the podcast, when people are recording, that a lot of my clients, especially the women that are a little bit older, they have this, they're like, I hate myself on camera. I don't like the way I look. I'm constantly worried about that. And I love the idea of blocking the monitor so you don't see. But I also, what I try and tell them is, instead of it being about you and how you look, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember what you want to, it's about the audience or your clients, or,
Mm-hmm.
it's, think about, if because a lot of the folks that want to do a podcast, they want to help people, right? They want to give them some sort of inspiration or motivation, or they want to help them lose weight, whatever it is, if they're a fitness coach or a life coach, right? It's about helping people. And so if that's your true destiny and what you really want to do, then take it away from what you look like and focus in on that person that you're helping, right?
Exactly.
Because and when you do that, like there was one client who she was a performance artist too, and so she could do all kinds of crazy things on stage, but when it came to her being on camera, she was like, ugh. But her whole thing is that she wanted to encourage young people to create art, to use more creativity. And so I just said, focus on those kids. Focus on the kids that you're trying to excite about creating art and performance art and things like that. And once she made that switch, it was easier for her, because then it wasn't about how she looked. It was about her impact that she could make.
That is so smart. That is so smart. Yeah. And be creative like that. I think you have to think differently when you're podcasting, and be creative and try new things. Don't be afraid to try things, and don't be afraid to fail at those things. So I like crazy ideas. I like doing things differently. I was doing a lot of live stuff and recording stuff when I was out on the boat in the rain under an umbrella. I would do, because I always thought it was really funny to like do things on
I
location,
love
which
that.
I can't
I
really
love
do a lot.
I love the
But it's,
idea of listening to somebody in the rain under an umbrella with the rain hitting it. I think that's awesome.
yeah, and it's just like, it was like it wasn't planned, but the rain hit, things happen. It is what it is. I said I was going to do it. I'm going to do it. So pulled out the umbrella and just kept going. And so like I think it was mid roll too. Like it was like all of a sudden this like the thunder, like there wasn't thunder and lightning because I wouldn't have been on the lake at the time. So I was in a boat too, of course.
Oh,
So
jeez.
so then the umbrella just went up and I was just like, all right, well, it looks like this is what it's going to be today. And it took my mind off the nervousness. It took my mind off like all of the other stuff. And then I could just focus and have fun. And it was great. Right. So don't be afraid of those things. Be creative. Try something different, like standing under an umbrella in the rain, or, talking to random people and asking them a question.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Those
Like
you get great answers. Always, I guess.
you get crazy ones, and that's okay. And you get great, like it's so much fun. So try some of the things that sound really, really crazy and are actually really brilliant. Because you're all brilliant. We're all brilliant. We have these great moments a lot of people think of things when they're in the shower. So find a way to like keep track of what you thought of or an idea that you had, and then see, oh, can we do that? I don't know. Everything's figure outable, right? So we can. Let's do that. And have fun with it, because I think the more fun you're having, the more fun they're going to have, because you're going to share that joy and that passion with them, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So
You want to be having a good time,
Mhm.
doing your show, your podcast, because that's going to be contagious to your audience as well.
100%.
And you mentioned something in the shower. One of the exercises that I have some people, when they first start off, they have this desire to have a podcast. They really want to do it, but they don't like their voice. And that's a
Yeah.
big part of it, right? They don't like their voice. And I hate my voice. I don't know if it's right. Is it good enough? And so a little exercise I like to do is we all have that song, right? It's a favorite song, or it's a song that when we were little, we knew the words to, we grew up, we heard it so many times. Whatever that song is, there's probably a karaoke version of it. Okay. And you're not going to bring your phone or your iPad in the shower, but you bring in the bathroom, you can have your phone or your iPad, and on YouTube you can find these easy. Look up the karaoke version of that song. Okay. Pull it up, put it on pause. Okay. And go go towards the shower, have the shower going, all nice and warm. And right before you get in there, hit play and jump in the shower. And I've done this before myself with Karen Carpenter, the Carpenters. Love the Carpenters.
Yes.
And I'm in that range. I'm in that range. I'm not a BG. I'm in the range of Karen Carpenter. And I'll put on the Carpenters, and sometimes I'll play their whole album. It doesn't have to be karaoke, but I like the karaoke version because it's only my voice. And just because you're in warm water and the acoustics are great in there, right? And just sing along to that song that you love. Or if you even have an album that you really love, we got Spotify and all that stuff. But if you sing along to those songs that you really love in the shower, where you're relaxed, it's warm, the acoustics are great, you're going to all of a sudden go, you know what? I sound pretty good. I sound actually pretty good. Even if you're someone who's like my wife can't sing. I mean, she can sing, but she a little bit off tune. But when you sing something that you really love, you think you're a rock star, right? And that just helps you get a little bit more comfortable with your voice. You have to do it a few times to actually feel that moment. But yes, it's the Carpenters for me. What's for you? What song would be?
We'll be right back after we go to the bathroom. Remember that part on the album when they would sing that?
Yeah.
That's on the album. That's on the Carpenters album, right?
Yeah.
He sang. Yeah. I grew up with that. That was like, I love that album. I love all their albums, but yes, I sang that.
The Carpenters were just, that was it for me. That was it for me.
They were really, really good.
And then,
I don't know if I have a favorite though, but yeah, I could sing the Carpenter. I probably could sing all their songs. I probably know them all by heart.
I think Fleetwood Mac, I probably burned a hole through that record. Boz Scaggs. Do you remember Boz Scaggs?
Of course, but that wouldn't have made my list, but that's an interesting.
Silk
It's
Degrees.
good actually.
That was an album too. I was like, I like that. Again, that's in my range.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Queen was big for me. I listened to Queen a lot. Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah. Still to this day, if you're in the car, it doesn't matter who you're with. You sing it. And everybody at that one point does that whole thing.
Yep.
That whole head
We're geeking out over here now.
I know.
We're doing.
So what are some other like tips that you would like to give the audience about creating their podcast, either the podcast, if it's just audio, that's great, but also the video podcast? What are some other tips that you want to drop?
I have a lot of different. I just met with a client today who's starting a podcast. He's trekking across the longest walk. It's going to take him like 18 months. It's going from like South Africa to Russia somewhere. Like, yes. So we're talking about it, and I was giving him some tips, and I said, engage your audience. I think engagement is one of the biggest things that people forget. So make sure you're talking with them. Like you're talking to a friend and you're saying, how do you like this? And this is something you could do. And you're including them. So that's like, especially if it's a business that you have, and that's why you're doing your podcast, don't talk about yourself as much and see how you can include your audience and what you're saying. Don't have inside jokes if you have an interview. If Christine and I talked last week and we told a joke and then we brought it up today and we're like, oh, remember when we said that last week? That was so funny. Oh my God.
Remember that chicken?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the audience has no clue what you're talking about. No, don't do that. That's like a don't do that kind of thing because they're not included. If you want to talk about that and you want to tell them why we think chickens are funny and what that joke was about, we didn't have a chicken joke. Otherwise, I would tell you the joke. But if tell them the joke, then let them in on it. Say, you know what? We were talking last week and we talked about this and explain it to them so that they can be part of it and bring them in. Always be bringing them in and including them in what you're talking about. So those are like some of the big ones. I think people like to do the interviews, which is better. I think both are great and they both have their benefits. So
yes,
you don't have to just do interviews and you don't have to just do solo. I think you can do both.
Yes.
And they both deserve a place in the mix of things, because
Absolutely.
some of my solo stuff has been better than my interviews. I did a solo one on Thanksgiving favorites, and it's like was huge for me. I was like, what?
Well, because it's your show, and that's the thing is that it's yours, so you can create it. You can do it any way you want. If you want an hour-long show, you want a 40-minute show or a 30-minute show. I do know that I mean, you and I both know the attention span of the human is like gone to that of a gnat. It's because of all this quick, social media stuff. So it's not as unless you're a Joe Rogan who, has a 3-hour show and everybody listens to every single word, or a Russell Brand. But for most, having a super long, show is not going to hold the audience necessarily for a super long time. That said, I do enjoy, because I'm from radio days, I do enjoy the interview format. That's why I have my Out of the Box with Christine podcast, because it's long format, it's interview, get to know the person. It's really like a profile piece a bit, but conversation. And then I have a micro podcast, or 5 minutes or less each episode. And that is the micro podcast on podcasting. And all that is tips, tricks, what microphone do I think you should have? Where do you get your theme music? What about legal stuff? That is just me speaking to the audience, and I know exactly who they are. They're people that want a podcast. So it's just me speaking directly to them about a short subject matter. So it's like a how-to thing, or a step, or a tip. And that's just me. There's not a lot of conversation going on. Once in a while, I'll bring somebody in that, and I'll have a little snippet of a conversation, especially if I think they're dropping some, major gems. But yeah, I like that. Now, here's the question. And I don't know how you're going to respond to this, actually. I know my perspective. Folks who are starting podcasts come to me, and sometimes they'll say, so it seems like a lot to do this myself. I'm thinking about having a co-host. To go solo or to have a co-host? What are your thoughts? The Clever Biotch.
I've done both. It all depends on your schedule. If you are flexible with your schedule and have a lot of time and want to share the responsibility, you can get a co-host. I love having a co-host for longer shows, because it keeps the conversation a little more vibrant, and it feels a little easier. It's not as much pressure on yourself. But I also, for short format, I really like solo stuff. I think it's a little more challenging. It does put yourself out there. You don't have a lot of net around you to catch you, right? It's just you. But since podcasting doesn't really have any rules per se, if you're doing short form and you're doing a solo episode, it can be 10 minutes, it can be 5 minutes, it can be 12 minutes. There aren't any real rules that are in place that say you have to do it. It has to be 10 minutes. And oh my gosh, when you're editing it, you have to get it down to that 10-minute. You don't.
No, you don't.
You make your own rules, right? So I think there's more flexibility in solo. It's a little harder, but I think there's more flexibility, and you can do it on your own time. Co-hosting, it can be a lot of fun. It can also, be a little more tricky when it comes to the timing of things. And it's probably going to be something that's longer because you get chatty and you want to talk. And so, yeah, I'm like in the middle. I like both. And so because I like both, I do both.
I'm a lone wolf. No. And this is just because I'm a control freak, and because I was a producer for so long, I like to have control, right? Not in a conversation like with you, like I know that's going to be great, but I've had quite a few clients who start off and they say, since this is going to be a lot, and I'm very excited about it, my best friend, my cousin, my spouse, my kid, we want to put a podcast together, right? And so I'll work with both of them sometimes. And what will happen One person, the person that was really excited about it, is paying for everything, right? They're paying for the podcast platform, the microphones, whatever, the training with me, let's say, all the equipment. And that other person is all, I'm so busy, I can't make it. Or they promise in the beginning that they'll post it on their social media. Oh yeah, we'll both promote it and we'll get the word out. And then I swear 99% of the time, there's just that one person who's doing all the work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that gets old really quick. And it's not fair to that person. So unless you have a dynamic relationship and you trust that person implicitly, that you know that they're going to do, either the same amount of work or they're going to really publicize it and promote it, be cautious. Because also, if it's called the Ted and Bob show and Ted is doing all the work and Bob is just a jerkamo and he's not showing up and he's not doing any of the work, your show, it's going to have to be, the Ted and blank show, or just Ted by himself.
Mm-hmm. I
Right?
did that. So I had a podcast. Well, so I had a podcast and I had a co-host, and I love reality TV. And so we were doing a podcast, and we sat down and we did our first episode, right? It was like let's just have a chat and let the audience get to know her and get to know me. And then we had planned to come out in the fall for the next reality season, I guess is what you would call it. It's Survivor is one of my favorite reality TV shows. I'm addicted. And she ended up being on the show in Australia. Hey, she was on Heroes versus Villains, the one season that was just out.
On Survivor?
On Survivor. Nina.
In Australia.
In Australia. Her name is Nina.
Yeah.
So Nina was going to co-host the show with me. And then like 2 weeks after we recorded the first episode, she flew to Australia. Maybe it's like 3 weeks. She flew to Australia and then started filming in Australia. Her mom is Sandra Diaz Twine. So Sandra Twine is a 2-time winner of the United States version. So Nina was going to be my co-host, and then she ended up being on the show. So I covered her and I talked about her and I got to message with her and get little tidbits from her, but I didn't, I wasn't able to have her as a co-host, but that first episode was so fabulous. But so yeah, you never know, things happen. If you get everything planned and you get rolling on it and then all of a sudden it doesn't happen. Yeah. So be really careful. That's where contracts are really, really great. Like,
yes.
Set yourself, don't screw yourself up. It's tough. And I know the production thing. I produced a show this last year and I had there were 2 hosts and a moderator, and that was a lot. It's a lot. And you get people with all their personalities and all their stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a lot.
Well, like I equate it to like a family with, like the new puppy syndrome. And everybody's like, oh, let's get a new puppy. Yeah, the puppy's going to be so great. He's going to be cute. We'll take him for walks. Me. And that new puppy, you get that new puppy. And then like after a couple of weeks, it's not getting walked. It's just sitting on the couch. We feel like, God, gotta feed that puppy again. Yeah. So think of your podcast like a puppy. So if you're going to commit to a podcast, you want whoever's involved, right? If it's just you, make sure that you can give that puppy podcast the attention it deserves.
Yes.
And if it's you and somebody else, just make sure that it's, equitable. The distribution of work is equitable.
Yes.
You had mentioned
divide up the tasks.
You had mentioned something too about like contract agreement. A biggie that a lot of people who are just starting off podcasting do not know and do not do. And I tell every single one of my clients, you've got to have a guest release form. If you have a guest on, you have to have a guest release form. And they'll go, well, I just thought that the person would enjoy, coming on the show. Why would there be a problem? Blah, 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 blah. And I just say, you know what? You never know. And you signed a guest release form.
I did.
Come on the show. And it wasn't so bad, was it? It wasn't painful.
Oh, no, it was fine. It's so important. Guest release and here's an example of reason why that's so incredibly important. So if you have a guest on that has a specific opinion, say, on a topic that may or may not be controversial, and they've agreed to be on your show, and you have the show and they're great, and you publish the show, it's out there, it's now out on everywhere, and people are listening to it, and you're doing really well and you're loving your podcast. And then about 6 to 8 months, a year later, you have another guest on and they have a different opinion on the same topic. It has happened that the person that was originally on your show with their one opinion doesn't like that you had this other opinion, and they're going to come after you and try to tell you have to take their episode down because they had this new guest on that has a different opinion. It's happened. I just heard about a case that happened. So it's crazy what people do, and they had a great time and everything was great for a year until you put something else on that was contradictory. And then because you want to give everyone a voice, and that can happen. I know it sounds like it's like a big crazy thing, but like, avoid it. It's so simple just to have a simple release. Listen, guests are used to that. Podcasters are used to that. Yeah. We're used to signing. I didn't even blink an eye when you said sign the guest release form. Sure, get that done. Not a problem. It was harder finding a picture to use than it was signing that release form. Come on now.
This is another tip that I give because people go, I said, you need to have a guest release form. And Gordon Firemark, I don't know if you're familiar with Gordon. Gordon is
I work with Gordon all the time.
Okay. He's the podcast lawyer. He's brilliant. And he has you can look him up, and he has a free guest release form thingy that you can download, and you just put your information in there. Right. So when I was early coaching, I said, make sure you have a guest release form, and here's Gordon's guest release form. And so I had a client who said, well, first of all, she did all these shows and she hadn't gotten the guest release form. And get this, she was doing the episodes so that each episode was going to be a chapter in a book. And I was like, oh, you cannot write that book and publish it if you don't have a release form from these people whose words you're going to be using in the book. Mm-hmm. And she was like, oh, okay. So she had to go back to them. First of all, some people were like, no, I'm not signing it. And she just sent them this legal document, right? So here's my tip for you all. I use something called Jotform, and it's free. Mm-hmm. Just look it up, jotform.com, I think. And you create forms out of it, right? And so what I do, and Bri will back me up on this, is I will ask, of course, I'll ask for your name, your job title or claim to fame, how you want to be introduced, your email, your website. And then I say, but instead of just saying website, I say website you wish to promote. And then I'll say social media page you wish to promote. And then I ask, what's your greatest superpower? And then I actually ask, what are some topics that you would like to discuss? Please share any links to any offers, because some people have offers, and we're going to talk about yours in just a second. But then I ask for a high resolution, for a good image of my guest. So before I even get to that little bit of legal stuff, I'm already showing my guests that this is going to be good for them, right? It's not all about me and what I get. It's about promoting them, their business, putting their website in the show, in the show notes, all that stuff. So I get much better response from people when they have all that stuff beforehand. Oh, she really wants to know like what my superpower is and what my website is, and this is awesome. Then you have that little bit of legal, and it's like, oh, by the way, and then they have to sign it and submit it, and then you're good to go. But you have to cover yourself on that. You absolutely do. Gordon I think he has some nightmare stories about people not doing
He does.
it.
I just met with him. I had a meeting with him 2 days ago. I'll see him tomorrow morning. So I'm good friends with Gordon, and we're going to be working on a new show together pretty soon here. So I'm excited for that. I get to help produce it.
That's so awesome.
But I know. I love producing. I love being behind the camera and pushing buttons, as well as being in front sometimes. But yeah, you have to do it. And the other thing about it is that, you're coming on, your guests are coming on with you to share themselves, to share what they're working on, to share tips and tricks, and that's validating who they are, right? That's saying to them, we're bringing you on because you know what you're talking about. You're considered an expert, maybe not like the term expert, but like that you're knowledgeable in that area. And so people are going to want to work with you or know you more. And in exchange for that, I want to be able to do all the things. And my dog agrees that I can do all of the things to, help me get my business and get my podcast out there. And so I think it's a mutual respect thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm giving you this, I'm giving you the platform. You can I can, when I share when we're done, this is produced, it's out there, and it's all published and people can watch this. I have the ability to share that. And I can say, I was on Christine Blosdale's podcast, right? And so that's a good thing for me too. I'm getting a lot out of it. So it just behooves you. So don't forget to make that. And people, like I said, it's so commonplace now. It's expected. And it's the right thing. It's like, just makes you look like you have your act together, actually, because that's what you should be doing as a podcaster.
And do it before you do all the interviews or a full season or
right away
before, it is a great idea. And that's part of repurposing, repurposing your podcast. You put a lot of work into your podcast and your podcast, your video, you do a lot of work. And so it's important to repurpose that content. It's not just a one-off, right? So repurpose that content. If you have a podcast that's, let's say along the lines, something like the micro podcast on podcasting, where you're teaching somebody the steps or the tips, or maybe you have you're sober, you're like the guru for sobriety, and you have, in each episode you give people some advice on how they can handle that, maybe when they go out with friends or they're going to a sporting event or something like that. If you have these type of things, you're going to want to repurpose that content, and that means like in social media. So like on your smart device, TikToks, Instagrams, you can take short snippets and repurpose that. But you can also repurpose the content of your episodes. You have transcriptions, you can make that be a chapter in a book or a module in a course. So think along those lines too when you're creating your podcast. Not just you're just going to talk about whatever's going on, but maybe give it some evergreen legs as well. So it's not just tied to something that's just happened. It's different with the show if you're doing a show on like reality, TV or something like that. But if it's a bit of an evergreen topic and it can help people out, repurpose it. That's one of my favorite things about podcasting is the repurposing element and what you can do. What have you repurposed?
And the discover, I've repurposed some things. I like the fact that, for me, and this is the thing that's super, super cool about podcasts, right? So people will search for things, people will look for things, and they're going to like, oh, that topic is like, I want to listen to that. And then they get into it and they go, oh, this Christine, she's awesome. I need more. And they start listening to more of your episodes. And so unlike like a TV show where it's like off the air or you have to go find it somewhere else, they can go find things that you might have done a year ago or a guest that you had on a year ago. And so they're constantly rediscovering the people that you've interviewed or the episodes and the information that you've put out there. It's out there. And so, repurpose it. Find the best. I always want to do a best of. That's one of my things. I haven't done it yet, but I want to do like I've heard episodes where the best little snippets, and it's like, oh, that's such a nice, it's like dangling this delicious treat in front of people going, oh, if you're just going to take one bite, take a bite of this one and get a flavor for all the things that are me and what I do. And so I really want to do it of those, but I haven't because it takes so much time.
It takes time.
I know, it's on my list.
It's like a montage. It's like a best of montage type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
It's so awesome because people, it's like a, a flight, right? You go out, you get drinks, or you can get like a whole bunch of like a buffet with all the different food. You take a little bite of everything, or like a little, like this much beer. Who wants to drink that much beer? But like on a flight, you can try stuff, right? So like a best of, when you can repurpose that way, is like you're serving them a flight of all of your best. And you're like, have a sample, try them all. Right. And then they get to go, oh, like that. Oh, I got to go hear that whole episode now. Right. Hello, bingers. Come see me and hang out with me, because we love it when people binge, because the algorithms go up and they like it makes us look even better. And we love that. But it gives them a taste and a sample of all of the different things that you're doing. And so they get a really fast, quick picture of who you are and your podcast are. So I like repurposing for that reason. Almost like that's my favorite reason to do it.
Yeah. I agree. And we do love bingers. So
Yes, we do.
if you guys want to binge on either of our podcasts, of course, Out of the Box with Christine, or the Clever Conversations with my guest Bri Campano, and but you're listed as the Clever Biotch on that one, right?
I am. Yep.
I love it.
I am.
I love it.
Yeah, we get a little crazy. There's a little swearing going on. I don't hold back. I let everybody just kind of say what they want to say. So it's definitely not for kids. Don't play it. Put the headphones on. But it's a lot of fun. So yeah. Well, and then keep the cameras rolling too. That's the other thing. Like, yeah, even when you're done, like it's always good to let them roll. I had Hillary Russo on. She's a newscaster out of New York City. She was on the desk during 9/11, and she now has a podcast. She's a dear friend of mine, and we had so much fun that we just kind of kept recording afterwards. And so, but then we had all this bonus. She's like, "This will be great bonus content." So don't forget bonus stuff too, because they love it.
They love it. And I'm gonna make sure there's the dog. We're going to make sure I'll put the link to your podcast as well as your website as beyondreach.live. That's the best one?
Yeah, beyondreach.live. It is my newest endeavor. It's Beyond Reach Institute. It's a platform, a place for I call it an incubator, basically for podcasters that are already podcasting, or if or an artist, or we have artists, and then we have gamers, we have sports guys, we have filmmakers, everybody together, radio people. It's for them to level up. If they've gotten through podcasting and they've like gotten their show out there and they want to do what's next, so they want to learn other fields and do more things and find a community to hang out with. That's what we do. And I have a course in there. So we teach it's like the 201 or the 301 level college classes instead of like the 101 and I need to get started. I wanted that next thing for people to like, okay, this is a lot of work and I don't know where I want to go next and I want to do more, but I need a team. And I'm like, come join us and hang out. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm doing 50% off this month. So the month of August, it's $29.99 a month. But you can get in for $14.99 a month, and that is good. That price gets set for you. It doesn't change. So once you get in quick,
that's like a Spotify subscription. That's easy.
I know, it's a deal, right?
It's a deal. So 50% off on memberships at Beyond Reach, the incubator, and it's beyondreach.live. I'll put the link as well there, so that you guys can reach out and take advantage of her generous offer. But also, I love that idea of and it's a bit of upskilling too, when you're with people that are, at that level, who want to grow, right?
Yeah.
Who want to expand their knowledge base and their skill set. I love that. Mm-hmm. So I'll put that in there. Bri, it's been so much fun. I adore you. You can come back any old time, anytime.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I will. I'm going to come to your studio, though. I want to come down to your studio.
That's come to Australia. Come over to Australia. But we'll talk about Survivor. What a great place to have a Survivor show, because every single animal, insect, you name it, is like deadly here.
Yeah. And I know your Australian fans are going to want to, I know what they're thinking. They're like, okay, she likes reality shows. She likes Survivor. Which is better, the US version or the Australian version? And I'll tell you, it's Australia.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Don't tell Jeff Probst I said that, but yes.
Okay. Really? Is it because it's so dangerous here in Australia?
It's dangerous. It's longer. The challenges are a lot more challenging. I just really like it a lot better. They just won. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna say it wrong. What is the awards that they just handed out? A what?
A Logie?
A Logie, yes.
Yeah.
And they just won a Logie for it. Congratulations to them. But yes,
are most of the participants Australian too?
Yes, they were all Australian.
That's part of it, because let me tell you, Aussies are tough,
except
man.
for Nina.
They're like, oh, a snake just bit me on my on my wrist. I better just suck the venom out. That's all right. Let's go for a beer.
Yeah, I think somebody did get bit or stung by something, and they were like, they peed on it or something. It's so crazy. I was like, what? They're like,
so Aussie.
You know?
It's so Aussie. Their arm could be hanging off. It's like, it's all right, mate. Let's go to the pub. Come on. That's my horrible imitation of an Aussie. But thank you so very much, Bri, for being on the show. I adore you. Let's create stuff together. Okay. Let's just
do it.
Let's just manifest a bunch of stuff. All right. And thank you, of course. Thank you, wonderful listeners and viewers who have caught the show today. If you enjoyed this and you think someone else would, share it. Don't just keep it to your little stingy self. Share it on your social media if you get a chance. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you better subscribe either to the YouTube channel, or you can subscribe on Apple, Spotify, you name it. Even though Apple is where I get most of my reviews, Spotify is like right up there. So I know that a lot of you listen to us on Spotify. So thank you so much for all that great stuff. If you want more information about me, of course, you can go to ChristineBlosdale.com. I'll leave all the links in the show notes. And until next time, as I always say, remember to think outside that damn box. Bye for now.